Afternoon class. This is Intro to Biology. I'm your TA. My name is Smriti. And today we're going to be talking about something that's very, very crucial to biology, physics, chemistry, all different sciences. And it's called the scientific method. Okay? So we all must have learned what the scientific method is, or we might have heard of it, or for those of you who have done experiments before, you might even have unknowingly or knowingly used this in your life, right? So before I get into this little schematic I have here, I want to start off with an even more basic question, and that is, what is science? So does anyone have any input on what science is or what they think it might be? Do you want to take a guess what science is to you? No? Okay. So, I mean, you see something happen in nature, right? So, for example, when you woke up this morning and you were walking to class here, you might have seen a lot of things on the sidewalk, at your house, on the street, in the sky, right? So can anyone tell me any observation that they saw today as they were walking?
Bird was flying.
Bird was flying.
Yes.
Okay. Did anyone see anything else? No. Okay. Well, when I was walking, I saw a lot of trees, right? Since we are at the University of Delaware and it's all pretty and green. So I saw a lot of trees, right? So the questions that came to my mind were questions like, why are the leaves green, right? Why are they not pink or purple? Why is the grass so low versus the trees that are so tall, right? What causes that? Maybe you might have wondered, why are the birds flying? How are they flying, right? So what are the two keywords that I just said? I had two questions, right?
Science.
Well, yes. So in science, there are two questions. And that is, number one, why? Right? So why is the grass green? Number two, how? How are the birds flying? Right? So we make these kind of observations every single day. Whether we realize it or not, subconsciously or consciously, we're always making these kind of we're always asking these kind of questions. We're always investigating. We're always intrigued by nature and life, right? So these are the two fundamental questions of science. But now, what is science? Science is simply the tool that helps us answer these questions in nature, right? So when someone says, I have a high blood pressure, or I have high cholesterol, what does that mean? Does that mean they're going to die? Does that mean that they're perfectly normal? We don't know, right? So that's the first step. And this is what leads me to the scientific method. Step number one, observation, right? So observations where we ask questions such as why, how, things like that. I have high blood pressure. I have high cholesterol, right? I have gray hair, okay? Why? How do I have gray hair? So that's the observation part. And then this brings me to the second stage, which is the questions part, right? So what do we do after we have made an observation and realized that we have a question that we would want to find answers about? That makes us hypothesize, and we do this every day in our lives, right? So every day we try to justify an observation or make predictions about what we have seen and why it might be so. So that's called a statement. Not any statement, it's a testable statement. So a hypothesis is a testable, that's the key word here, testable statement. Highlight it, underline it, star it, very important. Yes, it will be on the test. Testable statement. What does that mean? Does anyone know what that means?
Can we test it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a hypothesis. For example, if I wanted to say, for example, I want you to explain why is the bird flying, right? As was your example. I would say if an animal has wings, then it can fly, right? So that's the kind of statements that hypotheses result in. That's what a hypothesis is. It's a if-then statement, okay? But since in a scientific hypothesis, we also have something called a rationale, right? So can I erase this? You want to write the two questions down?
Yeah.
So in science, there is a thing called a rationale, okay? So that adds a because to our statement. If, then, because. If a animal has wings, then it can fly because the wings enable it to do so, right? If the sunlight is reaching the grass is green because grass needs sunlight to photosynthesize, right? So that's what hypothesis is. It's a testable statement which helps you design, which is the next step, step 3, design experiments.
I have a question.
Yes?
Is that because part included in hypothesis?
Yes. So it would be a if blank, then blank, because blank. And this whole thing is your hypothesis. It's your testable statement. It includes your rationale. It's not just something that we pull out of the sky. The sky is blue because if the sky is blue, then the grass is green. There's no correlation. It's not just anything we pull out of our head, right? It has to have a basis, a scientific basis that you're making the statement to begin with. Any other questions before I move on?
Which is our main part, if then part or because part?
All three are equally important, right? So your question, your prediction, and your rationale are all important. Okay? All right, so once we have the statement, we want to test it, right? That's the most important part. So we have to design an experiment to test it. And scientists do this every day. Every day they walk into their lab and they have a experiment to design and test their theories, right? So hypotheses can be kind of like theories, okay? So does everyone understand what an observation is, a question, and hypothesis is?